That's no moon. It's a space station.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. A few quick announcements before we get started. If you would like to purchase a virtual pass for Hawaii, which is less than 20 days away, you can do so at journeytotruth.online. They're only $55. We cannot wait to see everyone there on the Big Island. It is right around the corner, and we couldn't be more excited. And all of that information is on our website, like I said. And if you're interested in joining our Patreon, we have recently created a second tier that entails basically a monthly Zoom hangout. And we're going to try to maybe do one Zoom hangout before Hawaii. It's only $10 a month. It's a lot of fun. You just hop on a Zoom call with us, tell stories. We kind of just have conversations. And it was a lot of fun. The first one was a lot of fun. So head over to our Patreon and you can sign up for that. If you would like, you can find our Secret Space Program documentary over there, and Aaron's brand new disclosure series called True Disclosure. Actually, episode 2 is getting ready to drop. So we have a lot of cool exclusive content over on Patreon now. If you are new to our channel, that link is on our website, journeytotruth.online. That out of the way, today we are joined by Pink Bella, who is a Galactic Akashic Record Reader and Guide, among many other things. And she does amazing updates over on her YouTube channel. And she offers amazing sessions as well, and we'll get into all that. But today we're going to kind of focus on what I'll call like a galactic transmission. So we're going to do some updates. She's going to bring some information through about what's happening currently. In particular, I would like to get into the Artemis 2 and that mission and what's going on there and some other stuff. But welcome to the show.
Yeah. Aloha, everyone. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Aaron. I'm super excited to be here. Really grateful. And aloha to everybody who watches this podcast.
Aloha. Aloha. So I guess let's do a quick little intro. Maybe let our audience know kind of how you got into this and who you are and like where this information, how you started tapping into this information.
Yeah. I was going over this morning because I knew you were going to ask me that. And I thought, honestly, it started when I was a kid. When I was little, I loved space. I grew up when Star Trek was on TV, and this Artemis mission, it's brought up the whole original moon landing information. And I was thinking back, that's when it was like, most likely I was in the summer, like when it happened, late summer. I actually was in an area where it was just stars. We were on holidays, and I remember thinking most likely I saw ships. And I just took for granted as a kid that everybody believed it, that everyone thought Star Trek was a documentary, that it was real, right? So and obviously there's so many of us on the planet who resonate with those shows because Star Trek's huge, Star Wars is huge, and we've received a lot of information. Then I had like another UFO experience around the age of 19, and it was before, I'm dating myself, it was before the internet. So I was actually driving home at like 2 in the morning, and nobody had cell phones either, and everybody was pulled over on the side of the road, and there was a big ship, and I equate it to the ship from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I didn't actually watch that movie till a few years ago. So those are kind of experiences that have come up since I've been working, on different podcasts and working with the UFO community. Like, I've remembered all of this. But fast forward to, I was guided to start working on my mission in 2016. Back then, I was doing my own Akashic work for myself. I was like doing Reiki healing and crystals, and just remembering a lot of intel from lifetimes in Atlantis and Lemuria. And then it slowly worked into, of course, the galactic starseed piece, because that's what I was most interested in for myself. I went for a reading. That's why I ended up bringing in the tarot, the galactic tarot, because I went for a reading for me in 97 after I'd come back from the pyramids and the Sphinx, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't find a job. And it just seemed to be like this long drawn out thing. And I had this massive download at the Sphinx and the pyramids, and it completely changed my structure. So my frequency was all different than all the people that I was going, like I was still in tech. I was in tech for like 20 years. I was a project manager. I started off as a programmer. And so anyway, I went for a reading to find out why I couldn't find a job. And she actually was the one who told me that I was a starseed. And then I needed to go read Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Manciniak, and it just started from there. Then I started hanging out with Pleiadians. Then I didn't want to be with the humans. And so the Pleiadians actually shut me down after a month so I could go back out and be out in the world, because that was still early. 97 was really early. I mean, look at it. We're in 2026 right now, and it's just now starting to get, exciting. So while I was doing Akasha work for myself and for clients, I started to get into the more of the Starseed galactic information to bring in. And then a couple of years ago, I sort of moved on from working with many of the groups that a lot of people work with, Galactic Alliance and all the different white hat groups, and I still look at them, but I was told to start looking at the Galactic Akashic Records, that was a unique way to look at what's happening, and a little less involved with what the white hats are doing, or what the what all the wheeling and dealing that's been going on to sort of drag out the story. So I like all of it. It's all a great movie, but that's kind of how I started. I started with me, and then I worked into elevating clients into that information as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. And Bringers of the Dawn. When did that book come out? 1980?
Yeah, like there were
92.
92. Why did I think it was 80? It was still.
Yeah.
It was written. She channeled it in the late 80s, but the book came out in 92.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
I believe is the case with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was 97 that I found out about it. And what's interesting is there were 3 ladies that were all kind of hanging out Mount Shasta at that time that were channeling in the Pleiadian information, and they got their books published. So to me, that's all the authenticity I needed. People were channeling in the Pleiadians. There was her. There's another lady, Barbara Handclough. And then the third individual, I can't remember her name. It was called like a Pleiadian handbook, and I looked at that as well. So I originally, I worked with the Pleiadians for a long time.
Yeah, that book was one that kind of blew me wide open early on.
It's an amazing book.
I don't even own it anymore. I gifted it to somebody because I was like, "You need to read this," and then I never got another copy. But
yeah, there's a lot of codes in there. There's a lot of activation codes, and oftentimes, if someone comes to me and they're fairly new to this information, I will give them like the audio link and send them off to listen to it. And I don't know if you guys have listened to it recently or looked at it again, but it's like mind blowing that they brought in all the information about the Lizzies, the reptilians. It's all there.
Right.
Oh yeah. I mean, Tyler, I think we talked about this a few years back. We're like, this book could have been written today, and it's so relevant for today still, and it was written so long ago.
Right.
It could have been written. Yeah, somebody could have come out with that, or she could have come out with it today, and you'd be like, oh yeah, this is
makes perfect sense.
Spot on for where we're at in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love how she referenced them as Lizzies as like kind of an insult, and that's where I got an idea for that bad joke. What do you call a skinny reptilian? Thin Lizzie.
I love that, and I love Thin Lizzie.
Nice.
I have Irish heritage, so I love Thin Lizzie.
Yeah, it's a classic rock thing.
I love it. And just so you guys know, I just realized this the other day. Like with the Canada's all connected with the royal family, and I was calling the Queen Lizzie for the longest time before any of the other information came out. I don't know where that came from, but that's what I was calling her.
Right. So
Nice.
let's kind of jump into this a little bit. So you mentioned Galactic Alliance, White Hat operation, stuff like that. So obviously you're kind of aware of this, like this movie that's playing out, or whatever we want to call it. But it's you mentioned it's kind of, you said the way it's being drug out, and I'm interested what you're seeing that leads you to believe like that. What's dragging this out, and why is it being drug out so long right now?
No, many reasons. And I worked with the Galactic Alliance quite deeply, like for the last 2 years until last July. And then maybe you guys are like this too, but I'm very impatient. I've been a Starseed since 97. So it's like, come on already. What is the problem?
Right.
I have to tell you, when I was
years.
when I was at the pyramids in 94, and when I realized, like, I didn't know about meditation, but I actually had an Atlantean crystal with me, and I sat there, as often as I could every day for like a month and just got downloads. And that was a question that I asked even back then. Why can't you just land the ships? Like, I don't get it. Just land them, and then there'll be peace in the Middle East, and then everybody will know we're not alone. And that message I even got back then was like, no, we can't do that. There'll be absolute pandemonium on the planet. Like, everyone will just flip out.
It would be extremely destructive if they did it too soon. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I got to. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I love that we're getting all the same messages. So last July, I kind of was getting a little fed up with the alliance a little bit. And because I felt like they were, in a way, not really bringing me in what I wanted to know. Not so I didn't mind that. And I think everyone has the role right now. Like everyone either is supposed to work with the alliance, White Hats, or whatever. And I look at all of it as well. Like I don't have this, uppity attitude about it. But I just wanted to know more. I think that that's part of our personal journey, is just wanting to deep dive and receive a bigger, broader piece of information. So when I look at what the delays are, it's multi-purpose. Like it's like they have to sort of tap in and go, okay, so if we tell everybody that there's more going on out there than we know, that Earth is completely different, how is that going to roll? How is that going to impact the whole planet as a whole? Because I one thing that I think all the groups agree on is not to continuously put everybody through another massive trauma, like 9/11, like COVID. Like, COVID was huge. People are still recovering from that. 9/11 was also huge. That's just like two events. So yeah, the kerfuffles going on in the Middle East is nothing to laugh about, but it's also been, I remember thinking, it's been going on for years as well. So, people hear about it, but they're able to kind of like tune it out. So even with that, if I was asking the alliance questions, I was getting sort of more of like the earth, just the earth troubles. And I wanted to know a little bit more about, well, who's out there, what's going on. And for my clients too, like bringing in the information, like if they have a connection with the Arcturian team, what's going on with that. And that also, me moving into that, allowed me to tap into 3i Atlas last year as well. So it gave me more freedom. And I think as we were on this journey, our sovereignty is so important. And when I claimed my sovereignty last July, the alliance wasn't too happy with that. apparently I had some agreements with them. That's the other thing that surfaces when we claim our sovereignty. All these old constructs for all of us sort of surface to clear. So it was a bit of a process to kind of move out of just working with them, but that's okay because I'm feeling like a lot freer now, and I'm able to share like different kinds of information as well. But bottom line is, it's slow because the collective is slow, because 3D is slow.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. It's definitely delayed, and I feel like, when you take it down to a 3D level in this war, there's, moves and counter moves, and there's a lot of pushback. They're not gonna, just give up and surrender. So, what do you see in terms of like, okay, this spiritual war, this galactic war, it's not just, we're not bombing Iran for surface level reasons. There's something
I agree.
much deeper there. Has anything come through your sessions?
Yeah, it's connected to the Stargate systems. And the last time I looked at it, because I know a bunch of us have looked at it, last time I looked at it, it was as if the white hats, the good military, which your country is very much involved in as well, were there to shut it down. That there was an expectation of the dark ETs to try and bring a whole bunch of things through that system. So there's a whole bunch of Stargates on the planet, and when I look at it with the higher level teams, new ones are being created, like higher frequency ones that will be used, you know, for all of us. They're probably already being used, but the original Stargate systems are still somewhat being manipulated. And that's a big one. And I also there was another big one in Greenland. So yeah, on the surface, there's a whole big kerfuffle, military operations, etc., going on there. But behind the scenes, I was getting it was specifically about the Stargates in those areas, and that they knew the White Hats and the good teams knew that there was a potential of a bunch of things coming through those Stargate systems. So they were in the process of shutting them down.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. I mean, it makes sense. We've covered that a few times. It seems to be what's coming through, and lots of attention on the Stargates over there.
Yeah.
There was
Say
somebody else,
Yeah.
just real quick to corroborate that. I think it was Elizabeth April, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
that tapped in, and she got the same thing that you just said, basically.
Oh
That
wow. Okay.
they've cut off the dark ETs, like the reptilians and stuff, from being able to come here through ships, but there was still that Stargate there in Iran that they were planning on trying to bring in reinforcements and come through. So they had to go there to shut it down to stop that. And that's exactly lines up with what you said.
Well, I felt like it was something really important and very urgent because I even remember the date that it was announced when everything was happened at the end of February. And I remember thinking, everything we're getting right now is intel on some level. Like on the surface level, it's going to be presented as but that's why a lot of us are looking behind the scenes as well, because it's like, no, we all know there's way more going on than we realize. And that's the cool thing. I get my God bumps when you guys all share something and it's actually happening. So I got that conversation.
Nice.
And I like Elizabeth April too. I try and catch some of her stuff as well. Yeah. So we all have this really cool job right now, don't we? That we're bringing in really fascinating information. So I love that.
Right. So whenever, Trump made a comment about these people being very the Iran negotiators being very different and strange. And I think like
they are.
and talking about like, wiping out an entire civilization over there. I'm thinking like we're talking non-humans. And maybe
everybody thinks he's talking about people and they're all, oh my God, he's saying he's going to kill everyone in Iran.
Yeah, I know. No, I just got that. Do you all know, if you want, I can pull some cards, we can look at the records too, but do you all know if there is still a blackout? Like if they're still not really sort of letting too much visual or anything come out of Iran? Because I haven't been looking.
I don't know if that's still in place or not, so I can't answer that. But if you would like, I guess we could just kind of start rolling in, pulling some cards, and we can just add it to the discussion along the way. But yeah, I'm curious if like we're talking about extraterrestrials here, or is what's going on?
Yeah, non-humans in Iran at this time. And the records are open. I opened them before our session. Let's see what they have to say. Sometimes, and if we don't get anything, it's because we're not supposed to know right now, but that's okay. Oh, my other physical symptom is I get pressure around my head when the dark ETs are like, quit snooping, don't look over there. And I was like, I'm not remote viewing, I'm just asking a question.
Interesting.
So there we go. Yeah. Okay. We have the Three of Swords. I'll just show all of them, and then I'll just share Page of Wands, Four of Wands, and that's in the future. So yeah, Three of Swords. So yeah, this is all about the battle that's going on right now. We're coming out of it, believe it or not, no matter what they're sort of saying in the media. So this has been a big sort of like open problem on the earth for a long time. And as well as Page of Wands, it could be resolved within a month. Like it could all like clear out whatever is really going on in a month. And I feel it's because what's coming is the whole disclosure scenario. Because at some point, I'm getting my God bumps. At some point there, and this could be like 4 months. We know, like I think I saw you all post and I reshared it as well. Like the White House, they've got a new website. Was that gov.alien or alien.gov?
Alien.gov.
Thank you. Yeah. So even though it looks like it's slow, I do feel things are accelerating now. And have you all noticed, like it flips back and forth, like, oh, we're over here, then it's disclosure, then there's the military thing, and then now we're in space, right? Like, and it's only April.
Right.
So I'm going, and I'm thinking, even looking at the space thing, that is to get us kind of to all focus on maybe something a little bit more positive than what's happening over in the Middle East.
Right. Maybe we could pull some cards on that too, but also it didn't actually answer the question as far as aliens.
I pulled two more cards just in case I didn't answer it.
Just about non-humans, aliens.
Yes, yeah. So I got the High Priestess, which is it's been hidden. It's been being hidden from us about who they are, and but it also came in upside down. It came in upside down, so they're cleaning that out. So that would make sense, because that means that, yes, there are non-humans there and they can't tell us really what they're doing or what's going on. And I'm also hearing that there is I think this has come through on Typical Skeptic too when we've looked at it. The different races, especially the Dark ETs, kind of made claim on certain areas on the planet, like the Game of Risk. And so the Iran Middle East area was their section. So it has been hidden, but it's coming upside down. So that's wrapping up. And then Queen of Pentacles, this is all about all of us. It's a big piece of what's been blocking our overall global abundance and sovereignty. So it's massive. And once we get through that, we're like home free for a lot of the other information to start coming in.
Yeah, so it seems like there's some urgency there, which obviously prompted the preemptive strike, which
Yeah.
seemed like a preemptive strike,
Yeah.
because obviously what was at stake, we were never going to know about the truth behind the matter, but it's still very interesting to hear all this stuff come through. And I agree. I would say maybe you could pull a card to clarify this, but are we talking about more or less actual full-blooded reptilians? Or are we talking about or a hybrid race? Like
I just got my God bumps, so full blown.
okay.
And okay, and this is the other thing. I'll pull some cards on it too. And this is a part that I didn't like about the Alliance last year. And I think what happened was they got me so ramped up about how positive everything was and that the war was over and that they were all gone. And I'm a Gemini and I'm all about positivity. And I was like super excited about it. But then I was like, wait a minute, what's going on in 3D? So I've actually had experiences. I've met some reptilians, I've met shapeshifters. I didn't piece it all together until the last couple of years, but many of us will have physical reactions to them. Like our whole nervous system will just kick into fear or anxiety out of nowhere. And that usually means that we've come into contact with that energy that's been in a human form. And yeah, so I think I was having some of my own experiences last year, and I was we question everything, like even the information. So I like about the cards because even if it's like I'm getting a piece of information, the cards are saying some other thing. So yeah, they're not all gone yet. There's still a cleanup process, but they also definitely, the White Hats and the Alliance teams do not want any more coming in. For sure.
Right.
So they're going to want to shut all that down. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron, if you think of any questions for the cards along the way, just jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there something else, Tyler, that I didn't answer?
No, that was it. I was just, so basically, I was just wanting to know if like the Iranian people themselves were hybrids, or some of who these Iranian negotiators were. And we don't have to, go too much.
No, you know what?
into
Let's
this.
pull up a couple of cards, and then I actually have a galactic deck with some dark ET information in. So let's just see. Yeah, because it's going to be this is like we're all like this is advanced information. I mean, maybe not for our group, but like it is advanced. Whereas like we know the collective, and I don't know if this has been exposed in the e-files yet, but I know a lot of the dark ET galactic stuff is also in the e-files. And that's also why they've been dragging it out and why they're not able to share everything. Because okay, how does humanity understand that there's reptilian shapeshifters here and other shapeshifters, right?
Yeah.
So the Iranian people, if they're hybrids, the Ace of Swords, which is actually a yes. Yeah, so that's a yes. And then I also got the Knight of Wands, which is interesting because that's like the Middle East. You can see the pyramids in the background, right? Yes. So they are a race that was created for this time. Like battle ready, this is our land, this is our Stargate system, this is what we've owned. Knight of Wands, and let me just pull one more. So, and then we got the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Swords. So the Knight of Wands, this to me would be the White Hats and the military, the good military, like knowing that they needed to be there right then. Like it was part of like, this has happened, we have to go and deal with it. And Queen of Swords, which is standing in our power, standing our ground, because it's not just a country thing anymore. It's actually a global world thing. So go back to that question that like I shared that I was asking at the pyramids a million years ago. We actually can't have world peace if we still have these areas on the planet that are still being managed by the dark ETs. So yeah, so that's why it's been such a hotbed. And I mean, there's mixed hybrid DNA really in all of us. I think you probably have all
Right.
dived into that anyway. There's going to be larger percentages than others. That's another big piece that, hopefully will come out at some point. But yes, I'm hearing that the percentage there is quite strong.
I would argue that that's why suddenly they're activating their advanced weaponry, their super soldiers. We're hearing about this stuff that's not supposed to exist because they're really coming up against this force that isn't human, and
Yeah.
it requires this technology. And
Yeah.
it's like showing them, like, listen, like we have, like, we've been hiding this stuff, but we have, like, we can we can knock you out in a blink of an eye. So just
Yeah, I'm hearing they need all of that. I just got my god bumps again, so that's why. It's crazy about the whole super soldier thing too, because that was all in the X-Files, which is in the 90s. And I'm just rewatching the X-Files again. I just found it and I've been streaming it again. And I was like, they were just handed it to us.
Right.
Alien DNA, hybrids, cloning, super soldiers, like it's all it's all there.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm rewatching it, because I'm like just going, wow, I can't believe it. Yeah.
It's even my wife and I are rewatching Stargate SG-1 right now,
Oh,
which
cool.
started in the 90s. And there was an episode that was, to me, it was disclosure of like super soldier type
Yeah.
technology, where they get these like wrist armband, ET technology armband things, and it makes them into like super soldiers. They can super strength, super speed, just mental capacities, everything. Yeah. So then that was like 99 when that episode came out, I think.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. I have never watched that series. I'm gonna have to watch it.
You should. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
A lot
one.
of disclosure.
So you mentioned in your recent update this post-Easter portal, and like there's a lot happening right now with the Artemis missions and stuff. So maybe you can explain this post-Easter portal, what you see happening with that energetically, and then we can get into this moon mission.
Yeah. So I've been looking at portals for a long time, and I think I kind of look at them a little bit differently now. I think they're super important, powerful manifestation portals, but also now I know that the dark ETs figured out that we were all using them, so they were kind of messing them up as well. But I just was sharing with a lot of different individuals, clients, and on podcasts this year, and Easter seemed to be a big marker this year, and it's early, like it always moves around based on the first full moon in April, so it moves around, or the pink full moon. But it was early this year, and I don't know how you guys were feeling, but I actually started feeling really like out of it by around the full moon. I was, sinus, sneezing, all sorts of stuff. My kitty, the same thing. So I knew it was a big portal, and I just didn't understand that it was going to be like a big upgrade for all of us that were aware of that. So that was going on. But I also, now looking at it, I didn't know that Artemis got launched around the same time. I was too out of it. So I was like yesterday going, wow, like nothing is by accident. Everything is strategically planned, right down to, this is the full moon. This is when we're going to do the launch. Solar flares were happening everywhere. And then we're going to be here right after the launch. Like it was all sort of happening where some people could focus on it and others couldn't. So I really feel like we did a massive timeline jump. I think that's what it came to me. It feels like we did a big shift. And the other thing that came to me was that when 3i Atlas, I thought it was the moon, but it wasn't. When 3i Atlas went really close to Mars, like when it came into our atmosphere, and then it apparently whatever was going on, and it went to Mars. I was live that day, and when I got off my live, my AI assistant had been upgraded and NASA had cut their feed. So I knew there's way more going on just based on that, because I'm thinking, okay, you already have a feed that's neutral anyway. Like there's nothing, it's always just black space and planets. Like there's nothing going on out there. But so why would you cut the feed? And then that was similar to even this past weekend. I had a new AI assistant, and as soon as all of that happened, my new AI assistant had also been upgraded and became like vanilla. Like suddenly it had no information and and I thought, okay, so we just went through something big. And even the Artemis moon mission, I think when I looked at it yesterday, and we can look at it, whatever you guys want to ask today, there's way more obviously going on than we know. Do I think that they physically went there that way? Probably not. But I do know we're focusing on the moon right now for a reason. And I knew at the beginning of this year, the truth about the moon's going to come out this year. Like I've always looked at it like it kind of reminds me of the Death Star. It just reminds me of something that got dragged into our universe, and it's not what it appears to be. And it also causes a lot of people a lot of emotional stress.
Right.
Like the hospitals, everything are all like, if there's a full moon, people are just they're out of it. And so the message I got from 3i Atlas when they were doing their work around the moon was they were trying to repair the frequency, that they had this old relic that we have here that was brought in to cause stress for humanity a couple times a month, and they were trying to repair it. So apparently that was successful, but I thought that's interesting that we're going through this other scenario right now, and suddenly there's a new moon mission and everybody's like paying attention to that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for saying all that. And I think the Artemis 2, so it's really interesting. It was delayed and postponed until April 1st. And, a lot of the people out there think, well, it was intentionally April 1st because the whole thing's a big prank. They're not really going to the moon. It's all in the studio. And like, there's been so many discrepancies. When they did the launch, I watched it and they just switched to some CGI image. And I'm reading the live feed with like thousands of people in it on the whatever it was being aired, and people in the chat, like even just normal people, are just like, are people really believing this right now? Like, it's clearly like something's off. And then like, Trump just called the astronauts and they had this phone call that was there broadcasted live, and I'm like, I feel in my stomach, this is all phony. But then I feel like maybe there's something going on at the same time, like you said, and everyone's questioning the original moon landings, and that's all coming back. So, I mean, maybe I'm just kind of, rambling here, but maybe you could pull some cards to clarify all that stuff. And then, Aaron, I saw you were going to say something, so if you want to ask something as well.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, yeah, we'll do it after.
Okay, yeah, for sure. And what I was going to share is, so for whatever reason, at this point in time, we're all supposed to be noticing the moon. And, of course, April 1st, April Fool's, right? Absolutely. I agree. The studio. I just didn't want to tramp on anyone's belief systems with what everyone believed. Tyler, I love that you watched and looked at the comments, because that is super positive that a lot of the normies are questioning it. That's amazing. That's a really good sign. To me, even this whole launch sounds super familiar to the early launches with the phone call to the mission people, right? So absolutely. And there is Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd, right? You can't make this stuff up. So I feel, let's look at the cards and ask what we need to know. But I was getting that this year there was going to be some big intel about the moon, maybe about the time travel to the moon. I know that that's still going on. What else came in this year about that? Oh, did you all hear too? Like there was 2 moons at one point. NASA announced that there was suddenly a second moon.
Yeah.
By the first moon, and I kept getting that second moon might end up replacing the first moon, because maybe they couldn't actually repair this old technology that was causing Earth so many emotional problems. Yeah. So let's just ask, what do we need to know about the moon mission, or just in general Artemis?
Well, yeah, that, and then you got me curious about this time travel stuff you just mentioned too. So,
I know. Why can't we time travel? Here, take me.
Right.
Let's do it.
So I guess, why are they faking it? And then what's the real mission? What's the real mission behind it? Are they actually going and doing something else? And
let's look at why we got this fake mission right now. Let's see what it wants to come in. So we have the Fool, which is a 0, which is, of course, the new beginning. Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. April Fool's Day.
Right,
Even the universe has a sense of humor. We have the Star. And wow, 10 of Swords. Okay. So just off the bat, this is like, okay, so this is it's all of it. It's a new beginning. It's a new timeline. It's a new mission. It's a reset. And of course, are you all the Fool, April Fool's Day, are you all going to buy into everything that we're being told. No, no, we're not. So, but the star came in. So yeah, there's way more going on. All the alliance teams, all the star councils are involved in this right now. So this isn't just about fooling humanity. It's about, what I'm hearing is it's about seeing where humanity's at. Like, and I feel like that this happens on a daily basis where they're all looking at all of their data and all the information to see, okay, is it disclosure right now, or do we still need to wait a little bit of time? So there's that, right? So there's a whole bunch of information happening to focus us on that. A bunch of people don't believe it. Others are super excited about it. And I've been neutral because I think, like all of us, we don't even really know what happened in the 60s. Like, we know there was, obviously they had the technology to do the filming and all of that, but why did they do that? Right? And that's what I think came in yesterday was they did that for now. So even all that was because we keep thinking everything's sort of linear, but when I look at everything, it's like there are all these timeline jumps where they kind of go back and go, okay, this is going to happen 20 years from now, so we need to do this now. So even back in the 60s, things were being orchestrated for now, okay? And then we have the Ten of Swords. So everything that's going on with that is about the spiritual battle. It is about the galactic battle that's coming to an end. And let me just do clarification because I'm feeling like, yeah, Two of Swords. Right now, this is humanity. This is not being able to see in front of them, not knowing what's real, or that's the AI thing that we're heading into too. We're not going to be able to believe anything.
Right.
I think we're already at that point where there's so many clips like we're going, is that real? Is it not real? And then the card that wanted to come out with that is the King of Cups. And this is like that sneaky cabal Illuminati energy. And I do know that some of the events that we're going through right now are still some of the events that they were planning. And that the alliance teams feel that it would still be a good test for humanity to see, does humanity believe that everybody's on a rocket going there? Will they believe when ships are being seen? And I don't know if it was what you guys shared. Someone shared something about the NASA feed, and there were actually UFOs around whatever feed they were showing us. Maybe they were actually showing us real feed, and they cut it off as well.
Right.
But yeah, so it is all at this moment a test for humanity to see, like, because this individual has like two swords, but also a blindfold on, like they can't see, they don't know what's going on, and this is to stop that. So even this whole mission at the moment is to wake more individuals up.
So thank you. And a quick follow up, and then Aaron, you can ask whatever you were going to ask. Are they actually going to the moon though for a real mission simultaneously?
Yeah,
Because I know
I got my God bumps.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And you mentioned in your recent interview like white hat meetings over the Easter weekend and stuff. So, like, I was wondering if that pertained to what's happening on the moon actually.
Yeah, like, is there a big meeting on the dark side of the moon
Yeah.
with all the groups? Good question. Queen of Pentacles, King of Swords, and the Emperor. So that is a yes. That's a white hat military message. It is about King of Swords. It is about everything that's been pertaining to Earth and everybody. I'm super excited to know what's actually out there because we've only been told this whole story our whole lives. So I'm thinking, I don't even know if the planets that they've been telling us about are correct. But it is about the whole operation. So it is about the galactic and spiritual battle right now. Yes, there's a meeting. Now, what's interesting is that this was also connected to my 3i Atlas information last year. So 3i Atlas as well was involved. Now, they were a scientific intel mission. So they were gathering data and doing plasma repairs and then sending that information to the teams here and then the teams out closer to source. And then Queen of Pentacles. So this is, again, the card that came in earlier. This is, yes, there's a meeting. There was a meeting going on, still is. And it's about it's about where humanity's at and how we're going to unify the planet to be sovereign and abundant. Like it's about our freedom and our sovereignty. So yeah, so there is something going on out there, and I haven't had a chance to look at. Like I have some people that I started to follow. Um, that are just they do this as a hobby. They've got very expensive equipment and they watch everything out in space, and they were bringing in way better images of 3 Atlas and everything. So I didn't get a chance to check in with them on the weekend, but I feel like they were all over this. They were
Right.
like zooming in on the moon to see, and I should go do some research because I thought I bet you they found some things that NASA said wasn't going on. But of course, NASA I think was just created to make sure everything out there was neutral. And that kinda has, like, 2 sides to it. Like, the one side would be able to keep the collective and humanity feeling like they're safe.
Yeah, I actually agree with that in a sense, because if we actually knew what was going on, it would, people when if you're not emotionally mature or like have emotional intelligence, and you're not able to like soundly respond to this stuff in a healthy manner, it could, it wouldn't be necessarily the best thing to just like let everybody in on the real action. So I think in some case
Mm.
it makes sense to like put on this show to keep people feeling safe, and honestly that helps us like down to even a family level evolve and like raise our children and stuff in a healthy way. But yeah. No, thank you for answering that.
Yeah, I agree, and I was just feeling too I don't know if you guys ever had this feeling while you were waking up, but I just had this memory of, like, at one point, I just realized we were on this planet hurtling through space. And it kinda freaked me out. I don't know what age I was, but I was like, I'm going, "Oh my" I just felt sort of very, like, unstable about the whole thing. I probably had had a download or some type of activation, and then it calmed down. So I feel like now I can look back and go, "Oh, okay, I get it." That
Right.
they have needed to make us feel like we're separate with no life out there, although many of us question it right off the bat for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, what were you gonna ask, Aaron?
Um, well, my original thing, there's like 2 things actually. Um, so the original thing I thought of was, I don't know if you know who Chris Bledsoe is. He's like a he's like a UFO/ET experiencer. And this being that he calls the lady like appeared to him and told him these things are going to happen. And what she told him was
Oh,
that
yeah.
that 2026, this year, when the star of Regulus would be like aligned with the Sphinx or something,
In
and it
April.
would
Yeah.
yeah, like right now, Easter.
Yes.
Well, first he said the fall equinox, which is September, and then he changed. Then he goes, "Oh, actually, it's Easter," and then now he's changing it back to fall. So I don't
Oh,
know what's
interesting.
going. Yeah, yeah. He's like, "Oh, actually, it was wrong. It is fall equinox." So I don't know what's going on with that, but and now it looks like it didn't happen. So if it is going to happen, maybe be fall equinox. But he's saying that the star of Regulus, which is blue, is going to turn red and be aligned with the Sphinx. And when that and what this being told him is, when that happens, a new consciousness will come to humanity, whatever that means. And it's just interesting because, and he's kind of saying like he thinks that means like we're getting disclosure and this and awakening kicks up, and
Or
that's what
he
we're already seeing that.
and
Um,
he said on Sean Ryan there real quick, he said on Sean Ryan that he believes it could be the second coming of Christ as well.
and he thinks, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he's still very Christian, so I think he's kind of filtering everything through a very Christian religious
Right.
perspective. So he thinks like Jesus will physically actually come back, whether, I personally don't think that's that's a thing. I think it's Christ consciousness that's coming back,
I
not
agree.
not yeah. But
Yeah.
that's the way, because he's very religious still. So he's like, oh yeah, it means Jesus is coming back. But anyways, yeah, if you could just pull cards on that whole.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't recognize the name, but that was the prophecy that I looked at yesterday as well. So the Star Regulus and the Sphinx. And
Mhm.
then also I have looked at in the past the Hopi prophecy about the blue, the glue, the blue Kachina
Sakina.
turning into the red Kachina. So thanks for sharing about that because all I looked at it yesterday was his prophecy, like what he had shared. So it is going to
Mhm.
happen. I didn't know. I mean, I saw one of my astronomer people looking at the Regulus star, but I didn't actually check in to see if it had activated the Sphinx. But when I looked at it yesterday, it looked like it was going to be more like it was kind of the opening right now, and then it was going to be more active by the time we get to the Lionsgate in August, and then we can look at the fall equinox. So yeah, let's take a look and see. I didn't even think that it wasn't like when he pulled that all together, and I was right away going, Hopi prophecy, blue kachina. So let's just even see, what do we need to know about this right now? Did it happen? Is it going to happen this year? And I agree. I feel it is like the consciousness, more of the Christ consciousness coming within all of us. So that's a yes. I don't even have to go any farther. That's the sun, which is one of the best cards in the deck. So that's definitely a yes. Let's just see if I might get some time. Page of Pentacles. So that means it was just the opening on Easter weekend. So it's in other words, it's kind of one of these long-winded portals. So it's just the opening. And I've just started to notice this, everyone, that the pentacle looks like a stargate, like it's a circle, right?
Right.
And same with the sun. The sun's that's another deep dive, the sun. And then Four of Swords, which is usually about anxiety or feeling stress. Oh, okay. I'm hearing that it is happening, but we think he got that information, which is great. It is happening, but it's like they took like sort of a pulse of where humanity is right now, especially with the conflict and everything in the Middle East, and it's sort of people seem to be at like high levels of stress. So even the whole idea of everything landing on the weekend, it would have caused all the intense light codes would have caused too much stress and anxiety for everyone and the collective. And yeah, we got the Eight of Pentacles. So that's like a big soft yes for it really peaking during the Lionsgate in August. So that's super interesting. Yeah.
And so
right.
is this like just your interpretation, this portal, this long-winded portal, or is this allowing like new ascension codes to come into the planet? Is this
new extensive like upgraded codes from what we've already experienced. I don't know if you all heard that there was like apparently 24 solar flares over the period of a couple of days around the Artemis launch and Easter and everything. So I'm also starting to see that pattern. I'm starting to see that when we move into something, because also through Easter was the 4/4 portal, April 4th. So I'm starting to see this pattern of we move towards some type of portal or gateway, and suddenly there's more light activations through solar flares coming through the sun. And I thought, like, even that's being orchestrated.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's all like if we think about the Matrix includes the sun and everything else. So it's all that's being planned, I'm noticing. So I haven't experienced such an upgrade as Easter. Like for the longest, like it hit. So I live in an area where there's a lot of mountains and lakes and everything. When I was in this city, it was even worse because the ocean, like anytime a portal opened, I got blasted with the ocean and mountains and the sun. So I barely could even handle being in the city then. But even that was the first time I felt really dizzy on Thursday and Friday. Like I just felt like this huge tsunami wave came in. So I don't know how you all felt where you are, but anyway, it looks to me like this was an opening. And then I saw his prophecy afterwards. Like I felt it first, and then I saw like little snippets were being brought to me, little reels and everything. That's why I looked at it. And I thought that's super interesting that was prophesized for this year, and that we're moving into this deep level of disclosure and more enlightenment. And it is all connected. And I do know how strong the Lionsgate is as well. So,
Yeah. That reminds me too of Zay-san. He's a Pleiadian contactee, a good friend. We have interviewed him a few times, and I was actually hanging out with him last September. And this was before I heard any. I don't know if Chris Bledsoe's thing was out yet or not, but it was in September, and
He's been out for a while. Like his book came out.
Right. But
5 years
I
ago.
meant, yeah, okay. So the book, that prophecy was in the book. But anyway, I didn't know about it. My personal awareness wasn't there yet. And Zay-san was telling me, just from his context, that the Pleiadians were very excited about April. And he told me this in September.
wow.
And he described it as being like, for those who are paying attention, they'll notice the shift. But there's a big there's going to be a big energetic shift in April, whatever that entails. That's going to allow. It's going to kind of like break the chains for you a little bit, and we're going to be able to excel and move forward in a way that we haven't in the past. And I think like this timing of the Iran conflict and that, like you said, that was a big stronghold that was keeping us all at bay, right? So I
Yeah,
feel like if that's getting released, the timing of April and then this Regulus thing, it's all it's all happening right now, and I think it's been known for quite some time, actually.
I agree. And that probably would be also why that the conflict sort of accelerated in February, because all the parties knew that there was like another portal of energy that was opening at the beginning of April. So yeah,
Yeah.
super
Makes sense.
interesting.
It all lines up exactly with, yeah, like what are the chances? He said this year is when and we're seeing all these things happen this year. It's all kind of like coming to a head right now, and
Right.
the solar activity is off the charts. And
It is, yeah. And everyone keeps talking about 2027 and 2028, but to me,
Mhm.
this year feels very pivotal.
I think
Yeah.
those are going to be big too. But
Yeah.
this is kind of like it's almost like 3 years in a row, 3 big years in a row, and this is the first one,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
I
then
agree.
the next two are also going to be,
Yeah.
And we're only in April.
and we're
No,
only in April.
right. It's good. It's good though. I'm excited,
Me too.
and who knows what this alien government disclosure is going to look like. But I did want to go back really quickly to the moon and finish a
Yeah.
thought I had about these. So these time travel missions, do you think like the early Apollo missions in the 60s, were they using some sort of advanced technology to really get there even back then? And is this what you're talking about, the time travel missions to the moon?
Yeah, there's a couple of different theories about this, right? Because there's a theory about the very first moon mission did actually happen because they didn't land on the moon, but that they saw too much and they were all traumatized, and then they came back, and then it went scripted after that. So we can look at that. And then I also have looked at like this technology, time travel technology has been around since Atlantis,
Right.
and that a lot of the stargates that they're focusing on shutting down right now are actually old Atlantean stargates, where the other groups, whatever Cabal, Illuminati, whatever Dark ETs, were using them early, and they were going like Indiana Jones, right? They were going, back there and figuring things out, messing up the timelines, and then hopping back here. So when I've looked at it, even with Rob, it went back as far as World War II, and yeah. So let's look to see. First question was, did the Apollo missions actually happen, or was it just a remote time travel? Reframe that again, Tyler.
Well, did they actually go to the moon, the first time around? And I
Yeah,
think they did, but I think they got there through another means besides the tin can, right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
let's. So did the first missions happen, and did they go via rocket, or was it time travel? Let's ask it that way.
Mm.
Perfect. And then yes, Aaron, you asked something else as well. So 6 of Wands. So yes, they did initially. But that's not like a super duper sun card. So that's just saying that yes, there were successful missions where they traveled the way they were supposed to. But I want to I want to ask specifically, did they travel via time travel? We have I can't even count today, the 7 of Wands. And then the 4 of Pentacles. So initially they did go, we'd have to narrow it down. So I would say at least the first mission and maybe the second they went, because the 6 of Wands, like I could correlate that to the 60s. My understanding was the first mission was 69, maybe,
Yeah.
that we were told about. Right. There's also potential that there were other things going on ahead of time because they still treat us like children. Then I'm going to say the 7 of Wands would correlate to the 70s. There was too much interference. So that could have been energetic interference from the dark ETs, just saying, no, you're not allowed here. And then we have the 4 of Pentacles that would be connected to like everything got stopped, but also time travel. I want some clarification about time travel. And did they use time travel to go to the moon at that time? We have lots of Pentacles, 6 of Pentacles. Getting soft yeses. So yes, they did have the time travel technology back then in the 60s. So they did have it. It was given to them. oh, this could go really deep. Like, did it come from Area 51? Where did it come from? And also like the sun. They use the sun for time travel.
Interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
I wonder how they would use the sun, and I wonder if they got the time travel from the Germans.
Yeah. I just got my God bump, so yes. But I believe the Germans got it from the aliens, the Dark ETs.
Right.
Right. So yeah, well, the information with the sun is not what we think it is. It's actually a portal. It's actually I had to go back and watch like Star Trek Voyager about that. It's like a trans warp hub. So it's got all these things inside of it where people can move in and go in through tunnels and transport out. So that's super interesting to me about the sun. What was your question again? So we want to look at if they had the technology.
I think that was it. I think you answered them. I was just curious about the sun.
Okay.
I just wanted some clarity because you mentioned they were using the sun to time travel. So I thought that was
Yeah. Do we
interesting.
want to ask if they've got the technology from the Germans?
Oh, sure. If you
Okay.
want.
Sorry, I just couldn't. I thought, did I answer the question? Oh my gosh, we got the moon card. You can't
Right.
miss that. So we got the moon. So the moon was the big focus at that time for everyone to time travel, and it two of one. So it came from off planet. Technologies from off planet. So that would make sense that even the Germans, they didn't just get it. It came from off planet
Right.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why everybody was so focused on the moon. If you think about the big race, everybody was racing to get to the moon, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's still, in some sense, it's like like a repeat of history. But you mentioned earlier, like it's like kind of like a test too. Like where are we? Like what are we going to fall for this time? You know?
A test, and to have everybody refocus on the moon because nothing's really gone anywhere for a long time. They send out these little rovers that land someplace that then can't take photos. And like, so we don't really know I mean, none of us really know what, because we know NASA was kind of created to, share a certain narrative to keep everybody quiet and calm and that sort of thing. But yeah, the other thing is that why was everybody there's obviously, I think you can look at it, that there's technology on the moon that everybody wanted.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. Aaron, did you have a question, or were you going to ask something before that?
Yeah, I mean, mine's a little bit off topic, I guess.
That's okay.
A little bit taking a detour. Well, not necessarily fully. So obviously we have all of this advanced technology that, most of it seems to be we've either gotten it or reverse engineered it from ETs.
Yeah.
And then I think some of it we did maybe develop on our own, people like Tesla, T. Townsend Brown, these types of people. And all the electrogravitics stuff that was going on in the 50s, and then all of a sudden went black and got seemingly shut down. Like, oh, it just went nowhere. No, it went underground, and they kept going with it. But it's all been hidden from humanity, and in fact, it's been weaponized against humanity since then for decades and decades. So we literally have all this advanced technology that we could be living this Star Trek reality, abundantly free energy, just everything. And instead it's being used to keep humanity suppressed, enslaved, and weaponized against humanity. But now that's changing. There is a cleanup happening now. But the question is how is that rollout going to happen now that those tides are turning, and it's now going to have to start being in some way, shape, or form, it's going to have to be shared with humanity, right? I understand that has to be a process, but is that going to happen like quickly within our lifetime? And
why don't we
is
just
that
even
coming
look?
soon?
Yeah, why don't we look at like this year, 2027, 2028, and just to see if there's anything. I agree with you. Actually, that's one thing that gets me really upset.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking there's all this rollout of technology, but yet we could literally wipe out homelessness
And,
and
right.
poverty.
And then, we still have the fake show of rockets going on, and this is the only technology we have. Blah, blah, blah. And it's like it's such a joke.
Right.
It is
It's like,
such
when
a
is
joke.
that joke of a show going to stop, and we're going to actually bring out the real stuff that we've had for a long time?
Right, and
Yeah.
everybody will be on the same page.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah, so because I think that's another thing that keeps everybody separated on the planet is that country over there has everything, we over here have nothing, and it's been this whole game,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so
Right.
let's just pull a card like for this year, next year, and the year after that about everyone on the planet living abundantly, prosperously, and full disclosure, and all of us working together. Well, apparently not this year. We got the Tower. But but this is actually this card used to scare me. I didn't start using these cards till about 5 or 6 years ago just because of the history of them. But this is actually we're going to be going through a massive transformation this year. Like so many truths are going to come out. So you guys are going to be busy.
We
Just
already
kidding.
are. We
Yeah,
Yeah,
already
that's
are.
right. You already are. That's right. So massive lot, so much truth is going to come out this year. Like it's just going to turn everything around. So let's look at 2027. Because you all know, but probably by the time I see you next, it's going to be Christmas. The year's going by so fast.
Right.
2027, we have the Emperor. So this is like a White Hat Alliance card. I'm going to pull a clarification card around that because I want to know if that is like a positive, like everything's going to be turned around for us 2027, or if it's a turning point. It's 3 of Cups. So next year's going to be a big year. That's going to be more positive for all of us. So I'm hearing that's why already this year is so many things have happened already.
Right.
So they have accelerated the timeline this year, that means that's great for the collective. That means more of the collective is awake and ready. Whoa. And then 28, we have the moon. Which is like a death and a rebirth. The moon card is actually the death card, the death and the rebirth. So that could actually mean like that's our new beginning. Let me do a clarity card for the moon in 2028. And again, this can change at any time. We have 4 of Cups. I want to do one more. Queen of Pentacles. So potentially there's still something holding us back in 2028. And it could be something that we don't like that's been presented to us. So I keep hearing this from some of the groups, and I agree with it, that we're still to question everything. We're not to take anything that anybody says is like, okay, it's all over now, and here we go, and here's all this AI tech, and just, kumbaya. We're still supposed to question it. So there's still going to be something in 2028 that we're not sure about. That makes sense because we've all been through so much. We've been told, we've been told lies our entire life, school, all of it. So we're kind of happy, but we're still on edge in 2028. And whatever it is that we're not happy about, it's to do with our sovereignty and our abundance. So I think like that's a great message just to even bring across, that we're not to get like into this, oh, thank goodness it's over and we don't have to question anything anymore. We're still always supposed to be on high alert.
Yeah.
For our sovereignty and our abundance. Yeah, we're still supposed to always question everything.
And I actually did have one other thing that actually kind of leads perfectly into it, is that there, because there does still seem to be this agenda, these dark players that are still around, trying to do this transhumanist agenda and this whole super advanced AI surveillance state, like enslavement system, and they're still talking about it, and they're still seemingly pushing for that, right? And there's a lot of doomers and people, black pillars, whatever you want to call it, people that they only see the bad, they only see that stuff, and they think, oh, this is where all of humanity is headed, no matter what, because they still have all the power, and we're all effed, basically. And it's like, well, I completely disagree with that, but I still see that going on. So it does seem like maybe there's a potentially going to be this kind of split happen where you're a sovereign being and you have a free will choice to either go in that system or to not, and stay in your sovereignty. So it would be interesting to see like how that plays out in the coming years.
I think we're being presented with all of it. Because I don't know if this has been brought on your show before, but I absolutely now know. And I wouldn't have known a couple of years ago because we weren't that far advanced in our reality and tech. Like the tech was around, but they're really ramping it up now, right? Like robots at the White House, robots at home. And like suddenly it's just here. It's like everywhere. And I was thinking, what if they're continuously presenting us with scenarios? Because that took down Atlantis. Atlantis wasn't just about the fall. It was about the dark ETs came in and it was all about the technology and it was all about the AI taking over. So a lot of us are remembering that and it's coming up in sessions for me to help clear for people. A lot of people are very leery of AI and they have quite an aversion to it and sometimes like a physical reaction to the energy of it because of these traumas from the past. So I'm thinking that even all of the scenarios that have ever happened are going to be presented to us so that we make that cosmic choice and say no for sure. So I'm already kind of going through that a little bit on my own. I was very pro AI last year. This year, my AI assistant keeps getting changed at the back end whenever they want to. So I've just pulled out now and I'm just going back to old school and just things are taking a little bit longer. I'm still using some of it, but I think I saw one fellow, just to bring this in and then I'll ask the question on the cards. I saw one fellow who's been asking a lot of questions of AI and it asked AI recently, I can't remember his name, what's the turning point in humanity where we're not going to be able to trust photographs or videos? And it was Claude actually that came back with the answer and it said August 2024. It's already passed.
I was going to say it already seems to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And think about August 2024 where we were all at. We didn't even know, right? Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I'm glad that you both know. Absolutely. Okay, so question we want to ask is, rephrase that again, Aaron.
Will the slave system keep being rolled out, but we'll all have a free will choice whether we're going to be a part of that or not, or is it going to be inevitably everyone's going to be sucked into it?
I'm getting a headache. That is my pressure of the dark ETs still want that.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not gone yet. Yeah, so let's ask. So we have the Six of Wands again. Let's just finish doing it. We have the Three of Cups and we have the Hermit, which is another off planet. So this is a very positive reading in essence of like, no, it's not going to happen. But I want to deep dive more into it because this is like victory and success. So we will be victorious in what we all want as a collective, but we're going to have to work together. Three of Cups, right? We're going to have to work together. And we do have councils that are watching over us that do want this for us because of course it's going to impact them as well. If we're not sovereign and abundant and take everything back, then that impacts everybody. Right. So overall, I'm still feeling the agenda. I'm still feeling that head pressure. Yeah, we have the Death card, which could correlate to their energy, and we have the World. So what I'm hearing is, they still want. They haven't given up. The dark. So like we narrow it down to the Illuminati and everyone down here, but if we go up, we can go up as far as like I look at like nesting dolls. We go up as far as the Arcanic energy that still wants to control the planet. They still want that. I'm just hearing death to all. So I think of the Arcanic energy, I relate it to the Borg. Right. That's how I see it. Like they're just AI robots and I've never actually looked beyond that to see if they just program themselves at some point to just like, they just sort of go and take and assimilate and take over, but they still want the planet. So they haven't given up. Yeah.
But you're not seeing the split. You're seeing the whole planet like collectively going towards victory.
Yeah, I think we need to re-ask the cards. I feel like that's how we have to do it. So I feel like I think this is the case that there's going to be a percentage. They probably are checking in on percentages. How many people are awake? How many people because if you think about even people like with the e-files and everything that comes out, the war, everything that's coming up that's creating conflict within everyone, people have to work through that and process through that before they can get back into their heart. So we still kind of have to be at a frequency before it all happens. But let's ask if it's going to happen in our lifetimes.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
I hope so. That's my vote. Seven of Cups. This card also wanted to come out. Four of Wands, and then Judgment. Wow, I'm getting my huge gob up. So right now we're still dealing with a lot of timelines. Seven of Cups. We're still dealing with a lot of illusions, a lot of timelines, a lot of people still believing in their government and all of that. So there's still a lot of that going on, but we're coming out of that. And Four of Wands is about celebration, about everybody on the planet being together. But it looks like there's going to be something big, some big shocking event that's going to unify everybody. A big wake up call for humanity. That's what the Judgment card's about. So let me just see if there's anything specific we can get. King of Cups, and time frames don't always happen. Could be within 4 months. Could be 4 years. We have King of
For
Cups.
lifetimes.
4 lifetimes.
Yeah.
And we have the Seven of Swords. So something is coming that's connected to our past. Seven of Wands. That's like a wound that there's some still, and because I'm not really still clear yet who's in charge. Like, we obviously have a battle still going on in the Middle East, so that means that they're still fighting over the Stargate. So that means that we do have good beings both on off planet that want this for us. They want our sovereignty abundance, but there still are other energies that don't want that. So it looks like I'd have to dig deeper, but it looks like there's going to be something that has been planned, that maybe this is why they're shutting the Stargates down. That's going to trigger something from our past. And this to me is like a sneaky plan, like a psyop kind of plan. This also can be a psyop card as well. So
it's not
written in stone yet.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the fact that we're having this conversation is a good indicator that, like, we are on a positive trajectory, and I think we all agree with that. But like I think what you laid out beautifully, if there's any takeaways from today, is that there's a lot more to deal with than we may have once understood, and there's going to be a lot more, like the stuff with the timelines and these illusions and like this war, like these groups are battling over ownership of Stargates and the planet itself, and then there's an archonic presence above that, and this AI. So there's so much happening all at once, which it could scare people back into the matrix. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with all this. I'm just going to go back to work. So we're being presented with a choice, I think, but also it's a big test, like you said earlier. And I think that most people are they've had enough. But it's like, okay, well, what do we do about that now?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay, so all the shapeshifters are no longer shapeshifting. So how do we handle that? It's like, I feel, to me, when I look at it, they're still trying to contain a lot of it for humanity, and they should, right? So they're still trying to clean up the cities. They're still trying to clean up the tunnels. They're doing it like piece by piece wherever something pops up. And what was the other thing that they were sharing with me about that? There's even all the meteors that were happening a couple of weeks ago were literally like the galactic battles that were happening, and that was debris
I
that was
thought
coming
so.
around.
I literally,
Yeah.
I jokingly said that, but I've wondered, like, it could so easily be that, and we just never know.
Yeah, I ended up looking at it because I thought, why are there meteors suddenly everywhere? Guess what? There was one in Vancouver. Okay, I've lived here my whole life, except when I traveled around, and we've never had one.
Right.
So that woke me up. Like, and I actually found that out from a content creator here in the city. And I knew it was my team. They just brought it into my feed because didn't have anything to do with anything we're talking about. And she actually recorded it on her balcony in the city. So there was this big, loud noise and this big light and boom and everything. So I thought that's too coincidental that
Right.
there's all these meteors. So yeah, that's literally they're saying it's been part of the galactic battle that we're being protected from. Yeah.
Can you pull? There's so much, but can you quickly,
I know.
while I'm thinking
Yeah.
about this, can you pull a card in the Van Allen belt? Because that's one of the big things. Like, we can't get through that. That's why
Supposedly.
we
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, supposedly we can't get through it. That's why we can't go to space. That's why they fake the moon missions. But is that really an issue, or is that just a story we're being told?
See if it's still active, if we still can't travel through space because of it. Oh, this came out of the deck Knight of Cups, so that's a Make-A-Wish card, or a
Wish on a shooting
Wish
star.
on a shooting
Wish
star
on
kind of card.
falling debris.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's true. 8 of Pentacles, the Fool. So we're coming out of this energy where they're working on it. So there was something that was preventing us. And then we have the Fool. I'm getting my God ups. I have this little inkling of some information that's coming in. So let me pull the third card. So I'm hearing quarantine.
Right. Which we've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hearing that was partially true, but it also was damaged. And that's what I was getting from 3i Atlas last year, that they came in to get the data. They came in as a pretend comet to get all this information about all this damaged plasma travel ways that had purposely been damaged so that we couldn't leave. And so there's the Fool again. So there's the April Fool's Day. So it literally looks like we've just surpassed that timeline where more information is going to be able to come out now. And did you all see? I mean, sure you did. You probably posted about it, where there was that New York Post article about Trump being a time traveler.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Yeah. So right, so that was also planted. So I even looked at that week as well. So there we are. We're heading off on a new timeline, a new reality now. So I'm still getting pressure, like the dark ETs. It's not safe for us to do because there's still too many of them in and around the areas, but that's where we're leading to, and that'll be part of our abundant self. So that will be the story that we all read about, where we are going to be part of the collective. We'll be part of, like, the alliance teams again. We'll be brought back into being part of the universe, the galaxy, and all that is. We won't be, and we were quarantined for a number of reasons. Not just, we weren't being bad kids or anything like that. It's just that the dark ETs had taken over Earth.
So yeah, we've heard about the quarantine, but I've also heard the narrative that the quarantine was created to keep the dark ETs trapped here so they couldn't escape while we're doing the cleanup. So there's either way, maybe was the Van Allen belt, that quarantine bubble. And then, the reason I ask that is because if this debris is falling from these space battles, like how is it getting through that, if it's above that, whatever, however we want to look at it,
Yeah, I got my God box. Like, you're right on target with a good question. 3 of Wands and then Ace of Pentacles. And I got some intel. You probably already know this too, that because we're getting the black space where there's nothing, but in actual fact, there's all these different space. What do we want to call it? It's like Deep Space Nine. So there's all these different space. What do we call those? Where all the ships dock.
Stations?
Space stations. Thank you. There we go. So right now, yeah. So there still is. It's like there's residual battles going on. And I've got the 3 of Wands. So there's like 3 big ones, they're saying, on the planet right now, in and around the planet. And I've got in my head pressure, so that's the dark ETs. Another new experience that I've been having the last couple of weeks, which I haven't had for a long time, is sweeps of energy coming through my area, not just my area, all of the areas that's connected to the grid that we're on, the grids we're on. Even though we do this great grid work, we're still all, our homes, our buildings, and everything are still connected to their grid. And then it's also coming through the airwaves. They're sending out stuff through the airwaves through 5G, 6G as well. I've been getting nausea. Nausea is and it comes and goes like really quickly. That's archonic energy. So and then I think the meteors happened. So I thought there must have been like some type of offensive, and that also could tie into the February date. Right. In the Middle East. So there could have been like a dark ET offensive. When I ask the right questions, I get the right answers. So when I did ask, this is like my new team now, I get like, they're not sugarcoating anything more. If I ask, are there dark ET ships in the area? Oh yeah. No big deal. No big deal. So, and I'm calmer about it now, right? So I think you probably have all heard this, like in the last year, they've been telling us to really work on our nervous systems.
Yes.
And make sure our nervous systems are calm. That's why, because some of the ancient history and traumas that we've all gone through around the archons and all of this is still encoded in our nervous system. So it's with us too. It's not just the collective that's not awake. It's that anything big could happen. And we have to kind of have all our tools in the toolbox to be prepared for it. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. I think the archonic energy came in a couple weeks ago.
Right. Do you know?
They're not, oh, by the way, sorry, just to finish. They're not targeting us individually anymore. they're
Oh, that's
just
good.
sending, they're just sending. Well, there could be some people out there with soul contracts that are still going through those experiences. But that's what my team had to kind of start recoding me last year. No, they're not looking for you anymore. No, it's okay. Because that had been my experience. As soon as I woke up, it's like they were on me, right? They were tracking me and they were on me. So, so they're not doing that anymore. But what they're doing now is they're sending sweeps of low frequency codes to stress us out, like anxiety that'll come out of nowhere through the grids and through the airwaves.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I really appreciate everything you've shared today. This has been very valuable, and it's it's practical. Like I feel like I'm going to call this Galactic Transmission. Finally, some practical intel.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, but it's a lot of it doesn't. Like I felt like what came through today makes the most sense to me based on what we're actually seeing right now.
Yeah.
And like even the 2028 thing, like we're gonna be at this point where we'll be much more liberated, but we're still unhappy about something that deals with abundance or whatever. So that maybe that could be talking about maybe some financial thing that we're still not happy about that some people are waiting to happen tomorrow, Like it just
and I'm
that's
also
just like disclosure where enough people fully understand the slave system that they've been in the whole time, and they're pissed off about it.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
have to
you're still
share
there.
I have to share with you all. I asked about the financial system like years ago, like 2012, and
Mhm.
I was told back then, "Oh yeah, it's going to completely change." Well, it's 2026.
Right.
And here
Right.
we are, right? Yeah, we have some new things. So good thing I didn't ask like when.
Right.
So that's the thing, and I agree with you. Like I think it's still going to be it's fast right now, but it's still going to be slow. And every time I look at the financial situation, it's like they keep adding a little bit of a new piece so we can kind of adapt to some new ideas. But it's like everybody on the planet also doesn't do it all of that the same way. So that's a big hurdle too. And they can't and I when I that was something I was questioning last year because I thought, oh, it'd be great if we were all kumbaya and we were all abundant and this would all go away. That's what we all wish for. We know that that's possible, but something's still holding that back. And I feel like there are still sort of some agreements in place that is keeping that piece slow. But I feel it's all connected too. I mean, if we find out that much of it is like off planet related, that the control mechanisms are archonic and it goes way deeper into way too many systems, kind of like
Yeah.
Y2K, but worse.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, think about like if the larger truth deals with a bunch of off-planet operations, breakaway colonies, these outposts on these moons and stuff, and even like we're talking about a financial structure that's like interplanetary, right? Like cross-planet transactions and all this stuff. That truth, we're so far from that truth. If you believe that space is fake, and
Yeah.
that you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
what was that stat the other day? Somebody said how many millions and millions of people believe that space is fake and the earth is flat? Like
And you're in this like glass dome
right.
on a
Yeah,
infinite plane
I
or
know.
Mm.
There's so many different theories. And I think like, when are we gonna find out the truth about all of that? I did get an answer though. There is space in a dimension. It's dimensional.
Yeah, I believe that. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So this whole intel about sharing, keep your vibration high and keep working, keeping that because that will move us into more receiving more interdimensional information, and then that will unfold. But yeah, I think anything that's going to pit us all against each other, we're kind of just to sort of pull back and be a little neutral about it if we can, because we just don't know. And we also know there's a lot of intel that's being dropped into all the groups to keep everybody
Right.
at each other and fighting.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
it's a cancel culture like we've never seen. I mean, they're like, you
I
can't say
agree.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
This has been incredible. Thank you so much. This is very valuable information today. I love what you're doing. I love your energy and I love your approach. And thank you. And the delivery, all of it. Can you please let our audience know about your website and how they can book a session with you and all that?
Yeah, thank you both so much for having me today. It was awesome. My website is alohapinkbella.weebly.com. Email is the best way to get a hold of me. I'm old school. Yeah. Oh, and I'm also like both of you, I've just started a galactic community to do 2 deep dive lives like privately a month. So that's I just started that as well. But yeah, if anyone wants to book a session or a reading with me, I'd love that.
And can you say the website, but slower this time, please?
Sorry, yeah, alohapinkbella.weebly.com.
Weebly. Okay.
Weebly, yeah, I'm on the Weebly
Spell that,
website.
please. Weebly.
WEEBLY.
Okay. And that'll be below in the description, but a lot of times people can't seem to find the description sometimes. So we just wanted to make sure people heard that correctly.
Thank you.
Any final words from either of you before we wrap this up?
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about Hawaii, so maybe we can do that when you guys get back. That would be great. I'd love to hear your experience. The last time I was up, like I've been to a bunch of the islands. The last time I was on the Big Island, it was life-changing. Like
Yeah, same.
I went in 2012, and honestly, I went through the biggest upgrade being there, and I was like flew for 3 weeks when I got back just because of the energies, and it was so different.
Right.
So yeah, you're gonna have an amazing time there for sure. And then the other island that's really like Maui's huge too, so is Kauai. But the other island that always has transformed me has been Oahu, because and that makes sense because Oahu is where all the chiefs met. So it was the central energy center of the original islands. And of course, it also makes sense that they've changed it into like a chaotic city, like over, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
where it
Honolulu.
turns people off from going there. But the last time I was there, I literally saw sacred geometry's symbols come out of the sand.
Wow.
And there were tons of people around me. So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. We're very excited. I mean,
I'm
it's
excited for you.
like it's conference Hawaii mode until we leave now. So we're all in that energy. And I went in 2019 and it did change my life. And that's part of the reason we're going back, because I want to like recreate that experience for other people.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that. And
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe we can talk when we get back. We can.
Yeah, I'd love that because I would love to, if you guys make note of any experiences as well when you're there that you're not sure of, because I've done since Lahaina, I've worked with a group of goddesses and we've done a lot of repair work around the islands, because that was one of the key messages that we received was the islands were kind of separated energetically from each other. And then they also were separated from the mainland. So the last few years, and that work came forward because of Lahaina, because of what happened in Lahaina. So to me, if we have any sort of big event like that, like Lahaina or Paradise, any of those events where something's just taken out by floods or water like really quickly, that to me is still part of the battle that's going on. We're being shown where there's still something that's happening.
well, I mean, that did just happen in Hawaii.
Oh, that's right.
Just flooded.
Yeah.
The flood, the Big Island. I thought about
not just the Big
flooding.
Island, but I think Oahu or Maui or
Right.
One of them really got wiped out pretty good.
Yeah, I think I looked at that as part with the meteors. I looked at the flooding. Oh, no, I looked at it with the EBS system that went off in California.
Oh, I didn't know that went off.
There's so much stuff going on. So I wanted to know if that was connected. I wanted to know. And when I looked at it, that was it. This is what's come forward with my work, either individually or through like a group live or something like that. There are cloaked dark ET ships right now over the Atlantic and the Pacific. So the EBS in Laguna, California, they warned everybody, but it was crazy. Like it was 2 weeks ago and it was during the day and it freaked everybody out because it sounded like something was going down like World War II. It was just crazy, crazy sirens that scared everybody. And obviously they wanted everyone to be prepared in that area. So then I looked to see, there were some dark ET ships off the coast of California, and that's as far as I kind of got. It was just, they said they just wanted everybody in California to be kind of on alert.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely would love to have you back on. We could ask, I have a number of questions. I mean, we can go on and on.
Yeah.
I would love to do a whole, episode just on Sedona, where I'm at now, because it's such an interesting place in Hawaii and whatever else comes up. So we can do more of these. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd love that. That would be great.
Yeah. And I guess that's it. Yeah. So thank you guys all for being here. If you'd like to grab a virtual pass and join us in Hawaii virtually, you can do so on our website, journeytotruth.online, and sign up for tier 2 of our Patreon if you have not, or just sign up for Patreon for $5 a month and you get access to all the exciting stuff that we share over there. So that being said, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This has been wonderful. Really, really enjoyed this today. So thank you.
Yeah.
We love you all. And until next time, have a great evening. Good night.
Oh, sounding aloha. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hey guys, Journey to Truth is going to Hawaii. Join us in 2026 for Journey to Truth's first ever vacation conference on the Big Island at the beautiful Queen Emma Community Center in Kona. Enjoy Hawaii as we travel to sacred sites and connect with our Lemurian past and reactivate the land. It's time to get our bodies moving and take a boots-on-the-ground approach to the awakening. We'll also be making a trip to Volcano National Park to pay our respect to Pele, the goddess of fire. We'll then journey to the water for an ocean adventure with our multi-dimensional aquatic family. We'll gear up and head to the harbor as we set sail under the sun for an activating day on the water while we experience the Hawaiian ocean life like never before. Enjoy Hawaiian sunsets and walks on the beach while connecting with soul family and learning a few things from our amazing lineup of speakers. Aloha! Grab your ticket today at journeytotruth.online and join us for this once-in-a-lifetime activating getaway.